Hello folks, this is Jared Bogle. I hope you are having a lovely day and a Merry Christmas time. It's been a long time since I've done a video because I've had a lot of other stuff going on, and I really like making very good quality, high production videos, but that takes quite a bit of time, so I keep putting it off. So I'm just going to do one off of my phone here. And what I thought would be fun would be to show you all some of the different instruments I grew up playing on and have progressed on over the years. I just got a new one a couple of months ago, or a month ago, and have really been enjoying that. So let me see if I can get this to stop shifting around on me. I think maybe that'll do it. Okay, so this is the instrument I started on. Now, I started out learning from my sister, and she had an instrument which was probably about 100 years old and had been in the family for a while. It had a gorgeous tone, but the problem was it was apparently a homemade instrument, and it had really severe cracking in both the face and the back, not repairable. And so for a long time we haven't really been able to keep that one tuned up all the way for fear of stressing the top. So she then had this instrument, which is just about as cheap as you can get, not quite, but it's probably about a $90 fiddle. It's a Skylark, and this is what I started out learning to play on. And I'll play a bit of a tune for you. It hasn't been tuned up in a while. As you can hear. So that's what I started out on. And it didn't sound that good when I started on it. I've done quite a bit of work to this, just messing around with it on my own. And the biggest thing is I put some real strings on it. These are D'Addario helicore strings, which are kind of one of the less expensive professional grade strings you can get. Makes a big difference. You can see here on the fingerboard, which is just painted. On a real instrument that would be ebony, but this is just painted. But I had to sand through a little bit here and there because it was uneven, and so certain notes wouldn't play at all. So quite a rough instrument, but as you can hear, you can play a tune on it. But not necessarily a very inspiring instrument to play. So after playing on that for a few years, I got an instrument through Kennedy Violins. Now, Kennedy Violins is a it's a mail order supplier out of Washington State. And basically what they do is they take their instruments are made in China, but they're made of genuine toned woods. You've got an actual spruce top, actual maple back. Everything's the way that a violin should be. And then they do the setup on it in their shop in Washington. So it's better than if you got just a regular Chinese-made budget instrument. So this was quite a step up from that. That was about a $90 instrument. And this is, say, like a $500 instrument, which was a big deal to me at the time. A lot of people would still consider this very much a beginner instrument, but I played on this for quite a while, and it definitely served me as an intermediate instrument. And I had some work done to it, different tailpiece, tried some different strings. I guess that was most of it. Sound post adjustment. If you get an instrument, I definitely recommend having the sound post adjusted, because by the time it comes through the mail, it's almost never going to be quite ideal. Anyway, so this is what this fiddle sounds like. So definitely a much nicer sounding instrument. This is, a genuine fiddle here. But it's very quiet. If you play it in a session, nobody can hear you on the other side of the circle. And not very focused sounding. I did a couple of little recording projects on it. In fact, if you go on Spotify and you look up J.M. Bogle, you'll find a couple of O'Carolyn pieces that I recorded on this, and it did okay, but it was a real challenge mixing it to make it sound decent. It's got a little bit of a nasally sound, but very decent, and I always enjoyed working with Kennedy violins. Their customer service is absolutely superb, and their instruments are really, really nice for the price. I tried some handmade shop instruments from shops here in Georgia, and at this price point there's absolutely no comparison. This is quite a decent instrument. And since I liked Kennedy violins so well, when I upgraded, I got another one of their instruments, but one of their higher models. That's an Antonio Giuliani. This is an Anton Girard, and it's designed to have a little bit of a deeper tone, and they specifically market it towards fiddlers and traditional musicians. And it's quite a step up from that. And this is what I played for a long time. It's what I recorded my album on. And it's quite a nice instrument. There's a little bit of a bright edge to it, but it's an instrument that I enjoyed playing for a long time. And of course I had some different things done to it. I had the fine-tune pegs put in from Whitner that make it more like tuning a guitar. Got little planetary gears in there, and that let me put this really old tailpiece on. Anyway, did a few things to it that improved the sound, playability, and the tuners really helped keep it very consistent, depending on if you take the instrument outside and play in humidity or cooler temperatures, it doesn't go out of tune nearly so badly as with traditional pegs. So this is definitely an instrument that I felt like I had a viable fiddle. I could play this under any circumstance, and I wouldn't feel like I didn't have an instrument that would do what I needed it to do. So much so that for a long time I never thought about upgrading it at all. I was quite happy with it. But it just lacked, again, it had that little bit of an edge to it. And I like to feel a little bit more relaxed when I'm playing, and that edge just keeps, it's not quite painful, but it just keeps you a little bit tense when it's right next to your ear. So I decided that I would upgrade, and I had, again, such wonderful experience with Kennedy that I thought I would try one of their very top-of-the-line instruments. And so I did, and it was a beautiful instrument, both in looks and tone, but the G string was worlds better than this. It was amazing to me to see what I was missing playing that instrument. The rest of the strings, for the price difference, for what I was looking for, was not as big of a difference as I was hoping for, and it felt a little bit strange. It was a little bit of a larger bodied model, and the E string felt really stiff, and I think it might have been because the scale length was a little bit longer or something. Anyway, so I tried a few instruments. I actually tried about 20 instruments down at Atlanta Violins in Roswell, Georgia. And they've always done all of the work on my instruments, but their instruments were just at a higher price point than what I was looking at the time. So I tried a number of their instruments in the same price point as the one I was looking at from Kennedy Violins. And they had some absolutely beautiful instruments, and most of their instruments in that price range are antique instruments, and I eventually settled on this one, which is it's either a German or a Czech made instrument from 1924. The label says German, but Matt, that is the luthier there, said that the construction of it looks very Czech, so can't quite tell on that. And this has been just a whole nother world of sound for me. The other instruments, well, the Skylark that I started on, if you put it in absolutely optimal conditions, optimal acoustics, it still would sound pretty thin. But the other two, if you were in a nice space that had a lot of natural acoustic reverberance, it'd sound beautiful. If you weren't in ideal situations, they didn't have a whole lot of their own resonance. And this instrument, it doesn't matter where you play, it just rings. So I'll play a little bit for you on this instrument. I really, really love this instrument. And another thing that you really notice with this one compared to the two that I had before that is the responsiveness. You can play so much more lightly and use so much less bow and still get a full, sweet deep tone. As a matter of fact, when I first tried it out, I found that I was using too much bow because I was used to having to use too much bow. And so it actually was detracting from the tone. But when I played it for a few hours and learned to lighten up and play more gently on it, the natural tone came out so much better, and that's helpful in many, many ways. So anyway, this is the instrument I'm playing now, and I think I'll be keeping this one for quite some time. But I did, about the same time, get one more instrument. It's a wee bit smaller. I decided I would take up the whistle and expand what I can do in Irish music. So I got a Tony Dixon whistle. It's actually a plastic whistle, but it's a plastic that has very good acoustical properties and gives it a tone almost like a wooden whistle would. It's a little bit mellower than a standard tin whistle. So I'm still very much learning on it, but I've been enjoying it. So I'll play a little bit. There you go. So that has been my musical progression over the last 12 years, I guess, since I started. So hope you enjoyed that, and definitely recommend Kennedy violins or Atlanta violins for any of your string instrument needs, depending on the price point you're looking at. I'm definitely not getting paid for this. They didn't ask me to do that, but highly recommend both companies. So hope you enjoyed that, and I'll plan on doing videos more often going forward. Until then, have a great day and a Merry Christmas. See you next time.